Greetings, everybody. It's Jesse here coming at you with another video. And this video is going to be titled Election 2016 Review. And the subtitle, and very important subtitle, I might add, because I have a feeling that those that have been exposing this Hegelian dialectic principle for years now might be in danger of throwing that under the rug. Now, I have to admit, I was quite surprised by the results. Okay. As we know, that Donald Trump won the presidency. And it was quite surprising. But then I started to think about it. First and foremost, he won the presidency because it was supposed to happen. Okay? You gotta remember a little tiny quote that Roosevelt said years ago, that if something happens in politics, it was planned that way. Okay? And that statement rings true to every single election that comes before us. And it rings true to this one. Now, Donald Trump has garnered the hearts of many Christians and many evangelicals, in which I am probably going to be flocked and scoffed at. That's okay. Everyone has a right to their opinion. Everyone had a right to vote. Okay? It's not my business. But the one thing that is unique about all this is the titles that were given to Trump, like the Second Coming of Cyrus, which really the Second Coming of Cyrus is the antitypical Cyrus, which is the Second Coming of Christ. It has nothing to do with Donald Trump. For those claiming that he is anointed, you have to really look carefully at that word anointed in the Hebrew. It means Mashiach. It means Messiah. Touch not the apple of the Lord's eye. The apple of the Lord's eye is Jesus Christ, Yeshua. Okay? That's what the anointed is. Plain and simple. Jesus Christ is Israel. Jesus Christ is the anointed. Jesus Christ is the apple of the Lord's eye. Okay? There's also another thing I want to hint at, too, is even this Hegelian dialectic principle. Now, a quick review of what is this Hegelian dialectic. It's simply, you take one faction, you take another faction. You have a thesis, you have an antithesis, you rub them together, you have synthesis. That's basically what it is. And you have the same party controlling both sides of the same spectrum. Alright? Now, where does Donald Trump fit in all this? I firmly believe that he used his own personal funds to win this election. I am firmly a believer in that, and that's fine. Okay? But you have to look at the outcomes, too. Isn't it ironic that the Republican Party has pretty much total control of every branch of government right now? That's unique, number one. Number two, the mainstream media has been exposed throughout this election. All you heard was negative biases towards Trump. Negative bias this, negative bias that. Whereas you had the alternative media backing him. So now the table has flipped. You have the alternative media that is now going to be gaining steam. And now you have the mainstream media that is going to be losing a foothold. Well, let me tell you something. According to the Hegelian dialectic, there is a group of people that controls them both, even though they might be on opposite sides of the spectrum. We're going to get to that in a moment. In Daniel 11:27 it says, and both these kings, is talking about the king of the north and the king of the south, but I want you to pay attention to the principle in this verse. Okay? You know, it doesn't matter whether it was Trump or whether it was Clinton. First and foremost, if it was Clinton that won, it would have been God's will that happened, because, you know, nothing is done without God say so. Okay? God is in control. All right? So if it would have been Trump or if it would have been Clinton, it would have been God's will. It's Trump, it's God's will that it's been done. Okay? And get that out of the way right now. Daniel 11:27 states, and both these kings' hearts shall be to do mischief. Both these kings' hearts. I want you to pay attention to the Hegelian principle here. Both these kings' hearts shall be to do mischief, and they shall speak lies at one table. But it shall not prosper, for yet the end shall be at the time appointed. Okay? Key phrase here. They shall speak lies at one table. What does that tell you about the king of the north and king of the south? That even though that they are polar opposites, behind the scenes, they are one in unity. And they serve one agenda. How fitting is it that you have the alternative media talking about the establishment and the anti-New World Order? When you look at the alternative media and how new agey it sounds, the New Age has the same concept. It seems like a nice concept, you know, for the good of mankind. Mankind must unite in unity and these types of things. It's the same New World Order concept. It's just the yin of the yang. It's the white side of the New World Order. That's what the alternative media puts out. You have the mainstream media and those like Rockefellers and Soros and all these people, they promote the black side of the New World Order. You know, the tyranny and you know, the martial laws and these types of things. Whereas the alternative media, which really, when you really boil it down, all you have to do is listen to Alex Jones for an example, is very new agey in their concepts. That humanity will rise and we will take back this country. We will take back. So it's humanity's responsibility. So it's humanity that's going to turn these things around. That's what you get in the alternative media. Well, what does that sound like? It sounds like to me that it's humanity playing the role of God. Only God can turn these things around. Not Trump. Not any man. And so now we have the alternative media lifting the scales of balance. You have the mainstream media that is pretty much in shambles. All you have to do is look at the responses of all these mainstream news sources, NBC and everything like that. But folks, I need to stress this, and I cannot stress this enough, that it was pre-planned that way. So remember, both these kings' hearts which shall be to do mischief, they shall speak lies at one table. And you know what? Out in the open, I bet you 10-1, this president is going to do some great things. And it's going to sound good. As a matter of fact, I just read his plan about the Second Amendment. And you know what? When I read it, it sounds great. And I agree with it. I do. But we still have to be vigilant. We still have to watch. Nearly 6 months ago, I posted a video entitled Trump and Clinton, Polar Opposites, Same Boss. Okay? And Clinton's background was easy. figure out where she got her education from and these types of things. And folks, I have to make this clear. Just because someone went to a Jesuit university doesn't mean they are a Jesuit. They are Jesuit educated. They got a Jesuit education. Okay, so they have their, that's what they've been, that's the programming that has been infiltrated into their minds. Okay, so that's basically what that is. And that education that is put into the minds of these men and women, they go forth working on both sides of the spectrum, and they promote their agendas, acting polar opposites. But both opposites come together in a synthesis, which all roads lead back to the iron, meaning leads back to Rome. Okay? And you're going to see this in just a minute. So anyway, and one of the links I provided in that video was this. This was out of Reddit. This was a archived post by Veritas Ikitis or whatever. This is original research or whatever. But it seems like it's highly documented, and there's plenty of sources to quote from here. And I'll repost this link too, and you can look at it yourself. All right? I'm not going to read the whole thing, but I'm going to read a couple paragraphs. And it states, Donald Trump, secret Jesuit agent for Commander-in-Chief, states, quote, Donald Trump has been the subject of media frenzy as of late. And he's probably going to for a very long time. It seems that a considerable amount of those who subscribe to alternative sources of information are Trump supporters. Again, here you see the scales being tilted from the mainstream to the alternative. They see him as some kind of rebel, going against both the Republican and Democratic parties, as exemplified by his recent non-commitment to support the Republican nominee for president. Could it be, though, that Donald Trump is a false flag candidate being used to secure the vote of the ever-increasing independent constituency in order to inevitably lull the U.S. into a false sense of positive political novelty, and thus to subsequently impose Jesuitical right-wing fascism, leading to a nation-wide race war, as devised by the masters of class adversarialism, the Sons of Loyola? It very well could be, and here is why. Trump does claim to be a Presbyterian, yet he attended Jesuit Fordham University for 2 years, and then transferred to the covertly Jesuit-controlled university. It's not a Jesuit university, it's just controlled. Okay? But still, it's got that influence, bar none. And not much really is said about his 2 years at Fordham University. Okay? There's not really much on it. The record is there. He's been there. He went to school there. And that's that. The University of Pennsylvania is funded by various papal court Jews. These are Jewish people like the Rothschilds and all these supposed Jews that run Hollywood and these types of things. They're papal court Jews, and they are subservient to the papacy. Okay? Notably, the Annenberg Foundation, started by Papal Knight and Hofschuld Walter Hubert Annenberg. Annenberg briefly attended the University of Pennsylvania in his youth and later established the Annenberg School for Communication at the University of Pennsylvania. Mr. Annenberg is a Knight Commander of the Order of St. Gregory the Great. Court Jew David L. Cohen is the chairman of the Board of Trustees of the University of Pennsylvania, as well as an alumnus of University of Pennsylvania. He is also the executive vice president of Comcast. He was recently named co-chairman of the Leadership Planning Committee of the Roman Catholic World Meeting of Families in Philadelphia, which is the coming of the Pope to Philadelphia when the Pope came to America. Okay, so University of Pennsylvania could be renamed Hofschude University because of its enormous amount of papal Jewish funding and leadership, and really the entire Pennsylvania area is controlled by the Roman Catholic hierarchy via the Jesuit provincial holding jurisdiction over Pennsylvania. Okay, and I just want to also put this in mind. Donald John Trump Jr., alma mater, University of Pennsylvania. Ivanka Marie Trump, alma mater, University of Pennsylvania. Eric Frederick Trump, alma mater, Georgetown University. Okay. Again, this article is sourced. You can go and check these sources out. And do your own stuff, man. I mean, this right here was a quote from Michael Angelo Tamburini, the then superior general of the Jesuits, said to the Duke of Brancas in 1720, quote, "See, my lord, from this room I govern not only Paris, but China, not only China, but the whole world, without anyone knowing how 'tis managed," unquote. And then here we see this little picture here. Here we see Hillary Clinton, and here we see Donald Trump in this is their post-debate dinner, I believe. And then here you see the Archbishop right here in the center. So, again, it's... whether you voted for Trump or whatever, it's not my business. You have the right to do so. But remember the Hegelian dialectic, and remember what has happened to the media. Okay? I want to take you to a papal encyclical from December 4th, 1963. Roughly 53 years. And I'm going to read the first two paragraphs here. This is the introduction. Pay close attention to media. Okay? And, this is strictly out of the Vatican website, and this is from the horse's mouth. This isn't no conspiracy. This is what they are saying. All right? And just because this is in 1963 does not mean this is made invalid. It is still valid. Otherwise, I wouldn't think it'd be a part of their records that we can be able to read. They put this stuff right in front of our faces so we can read it. And yet, we just turn a blind eye to it. Introduction. Number 1. Among the wonderful technological, bear in mind 1963, discoveries which men of talent, especially in the present era, have made with God's help. The Church, that is the Roman Catholic Church, welcomes and promotes with special interest those which have a most direct relation to men's minds, and which have uncovered new avenues of communicating most readily news, views, and teachings of every sort. The most important of these inventions are those media which, such as the press, movies, radio, that also includes InfoWars, television, and the like, can of their very nature reach and influence not only individuals, but the very masses and the whole of human society, and thus can rightly be called the media of social communication. Don't we have a social media today? I can almost guarantee you the social media was used in order for Trump to win this election. That's just my guess. Because, it's without a doubt that, that was used. All you have to do is just look at the poll numbers. Mainstream media didn't get it right. But you look at the poll numbers and the support on social media. All you have to do is just go to Donald Trump's Facebook page and then go If you have a Facebook account, okay, you go to Donald Trump's Facebook page and you see how many likes they have on your friends list. Go to Hillary Clinton's Facebook page. See how many likes she has on your friends lists. And I can almost guarantee you it is going to be a substantial number of those in favor of Donald Trump. I've done it. The church recognizes that these media, if properly utilized, can be of great service to mankind, since they greatly contribute to men's entertainment and instruction, as well as to the spread and support of the kingdom of God. The church recognizes, Roman Catholic Church too, that men can employ these media contrary to the plan of the Creator and to their own laws. And if that so happens, well then, there is poison to be drunk, and there is assassinations to be had. All you have to do is ask JFK. Indeed, the church experiences maternal grief at the harm all too often done to society by their evil use. Hence, the sacred synod, attentive to the watchful concern manifested by the supreme pontiffs and bishops in a matter of such great importance. Notice the word attentive to the watchful concern manifested by the supreme pontiffs and bishops in a matter of such great importance, judges it to be its duty to treat of the principal questions linked with the media of social communication. It trusts, moreover, that the teaching and regulations it thus sets forth will serve to promote not only the eternal welfare of, I'll just say it, Catholics, not Christians, but also the progress of all mankind. I mean, that sounds nice, doesn't it? Okay. Now, let's go ahead and take a look at some predictive programming regarding movies, radio, television, and the like. I'm just going to give you one example. All right? And this one was unique because here is an episode of The Simpsons back in the year 2000, which predicted a President Trump. This is actually right out of CBS News. So they're putting it out there. I mean, they're basically letting you know, yeah, we use predictive programming, folks, so just to let you know. Well, what's very unique in this episode, here you see a picture within this episode, and look at the sign. Of course, it says, America, you can be my ex-wife. Look at the sign. Bear in mind, this is 16 years ago now, all right? Now, I want you to look at the color of that sign. Very familiar, isn't it? It almost looks identical. Folks, they had this pre-planned, at least for 16 years. Much of America was incapable of picturing a President Trump until the business mogul took the stage in New York early Wednesday morning to declare victory in the 2016 presidential election. The Simpsons, however, predicted a President Trump all the way back in 2000 when Fox aired an episode entitled Bart to the Future. In the oddly prophetic episode, Bart Simpson is shown a grim vision of his life in his 30s. The trash-talking troublemaker has aged into an unsuccessful musician who gets booed off stage during the rare gig he happens to book. For his sister Lisa, however, the future looks bright. She has risen to the chief executive of the United States, or as she prefers to describe it, America's first straight female president. The only problem, Lisa is occupying an Oval Office recently vacated by former President Trump. See, when I saw this, I thought that this was a prediction of a Clinton presidency because all the eyes were focused on Clinton. But you're going to hear one little word in there, and it's going to be President Trump. And I'm going to play that right now. Okay, so I'm just going to play this from 156 all the way to 328.
wisdom to impart to you. In 3, 2...
1596, 1598, 1600. Sweet.
Excellent question. Yes, I am proud to be America's first straight female president.
Okay, so again, when I watched this, I wasn't paying attention close enough the last time. Okay. Until, certain reports were coming in that, hey, this episode actually predicted Trump. Well, I never really heard the name Trump in this clip or whatever. I saw this and I was like, oh, wow, okay, predictive programming basically is telling us that Clinton is going to get it. But pay very close attention. You're going to hear it in just a moment.
As you know, we've inherited quite a budget crunch from President Trump.
There you go.
How bad is it, Secretary Van Houten?
We're broke.
The country is broke.
The country is broke. It is actually kind of interesting that right around the close of the election, that the stocks took a big tumble. Okay? They took a big tumble.
How can that be?
World. Quick, Lisa, call off your... Oh!
Bart!
Ow! Watch the ponytail.
Let him up, please. What are you doing here?
I knew you'd need some help keeping it real, so I figured I could be, like, your co-president.
Co-president? Are you crazy?
Mom, Lisa won't share.
Be nice to your brother, Lisa.
So there you have it. This episode basically predicted a Trump presidency. Okay. And the one thing that I think we made a mistake on is looking at the character Lisa as Clinton. And that was our mistake. But again, apparently this is something that was inherited by President Trump. And so Lisa is occupying the Oval Office and she's going to fix it. Now, again, this isn't to say that something could happen to Trump and therefore, something happens and Clinton becomes president. I don't know. I know the vice president is usually the next in command. Who knows how that happens? But the point of the fact of the matter is that this episode actually pointed to a Trump presidency 16 years ago. Just like this same cartoon predicted 9/11. It's predictive programming. It's theater. And the Jesuit order is a master at theater. Again, men of talent, especially in the present era, have made with God's help. The church welcomes and promotes with special interest those which have a most direct relation to men's minds and which have uncovered new avenues of communicating most readily news, views, and teachings of every sort. The most important of these inventions are those media which, such as the press, movies, radio, television, and the like, can, of their very nature, reach and influence not only individuals, but the very masses and the whole of human society, and thus can rightly be called the media of social communication. I want to also take you to another article, and here we are seeing, if you really pay attention to this, this was back in February? Yeah, February 18th, 2016. And Trump versus the Pope, Twitter's top reactions. Okay, and you remember about this? Pope Francis comments that Donald Trump is not Christian because of his proposal to build a wall along the Mexican border prompted a furious reaction from the GOP presidential frontrunner. And of course, a battle between no less than the Donald and the Pope gave Twitter plenty to discuss Thursday afternoon. Here's a sampling of some social media's top reactions. I'm not going to read the Twitters from these people. I'm not interested in that. But the point is that, again, here we have two apparent opposing factions. And bear in mind, Pope Francis is what? He's a Jesuit. Here is someone who is Jesuit educated. Does it not state in their oath that one Jesuit can act on the opposite side of the other so long as the church is the gainer in the end or the Pope is the gainer in the end? Absolutely it does. And it doesn't matter if it's someone who's Jesuit educated or if it's a Jesuit himself. It doesn't matter if it's someone that got an education from a Jesuit university or a Jesuit himself. The point is, here you have the Pope. He is acting on one side. Here you have Trump. He is acting on the other side. You look at the media. Here you have the downward spiral of the mainstream media, and now you have the uprising of the alternative media. You look at the race wars. Okay. Now that's split right down the middle. This is Hegelian dialectic at its finest, and you are seeing chaos. That's what you're going to see, and that is what's being seen. I know a lot of this chapter talks about the destruction of Jerusalem, but it is a type and shadow picture as well. All right. Matthew 24, verses 3, and as he sat upon the Mount of Olives, the disciples came unto him privately, saying, Tell us, when shall these things be, and what shall be the sign of thy coming and of the end of the world? And Jesus answered and said unto them, Take heed that no man deceive you, for many shall come in my name, saying, I am Christ. That word Christ means, dare I say it, anointed. I mean, Donald Trump ain't saying that he's anointed, but you have all these Christians that are saying that he's anointed. And shall deceive many. Now, again, I'm not attacking Trump, okay? He's probably going to be doing some great things. He might do some great things. I don't know. But the thing is we have to still be vigilant, especially if you're of a historicist mindset. And ye shall hear of wars and rumors of wars. See that ye be not troubled, for all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet. For nation shall rise against nation. That word nation is ethnos, which means groups of people or races. Ethnic groups. For ethnic groups shall rise against ethnic groups, and kingdom against kingdom. That's your countries. And there shall be famines and pestilences and earthquakes in diverse places. Wars and rumors of wars. Well, again, a lot of this chapter points towards the destruction of Jerusalem at 70 A.D., but folks, if you think that we can just only pin this chapter only to 70 A.D., yes, there are specific fulfillments that only apply to 70 A.D. I get that, but you have to consider types and shadows, types and antitypes. The Bible is a Bible of typology. It's used all the time. Paul even hinted at it when he stated that the things, I'm not speaking exactly, but Paul basically stated that the things that happened to Israel happened for an example. And the fulfillment of that example is greater than that what happened in the Old Testament. type and antitype. Cyrus was a type of Christ. When you look at how Cyrus conquered Babylon from the east with his army, and then you flash forward to the book of Revelation during the sixth vial and these types of things, when it talks about the Euphrates River, where does Christ come when he comes down? He comes from the east. So as lightning shines from the east into the west, so shall also the coming of the Son of Man be. By the way, don't think I haven't been watching, because I have. I have been paying very close attention to this whole thing. So again, you have Hegelian you have this thesis and antithesis everywhere. It's everywhere now. And everyone is turning a blind eye to it. Even those that may have done magnificent research. On this concept. This guy, Trump, comes on the stage, and he's going to do us good with the Second Amendment and the First Amendment. Hey, he might even, do some awesome changes with the 501c3 corporate status. He might do some changes with that. He's going to give the evangelicals a voice when it comes to politics. All of this sounds good. You know what? And and according to a good morale, physically, it is good. I mean, you can't deny it. Like I said, his plan for the Second Amendment alone, I totally agree with. But we cannot lose vigilance because of how good someone may seem. So here we are. Donald Trump is the president of the United States, or president-elect. He'll be sworn in January. Bear in mind, you also have all these things happening in 2017 with the 500th year anniversary of Luther pinning his 95 Thesis on the door of Wittenberg. You have that. You have plenty of things coming in 2017. Including the swearing-in ceremony. And you know what? It's going to sound good. And you're going to watch it, and you're going to agree with it. You will. I will. I know I will. Because, hey, serpents are very subtle. They're going to say things close to the truth. Now, I'm not saying Donald Trump is a serpent, but he's going to say a lot of good things. And he's going to, it's going to tickle the fancy. And there is a lack of vigilance that is going to be sweeping through because of this. Because we have failed, or we are failing, to keep a consistent approach of what the Hegelian dialectic is. And we have lost touch with that. And the Hegelian dialectic is just the same in this situation as it has been in every situation. All under the control of I That is the Society of Jesus. And they control both sides of the spectrum. So, I mean, that's really all I have for this video. I know it's been long. It's been a while since I've done a long video anyway, so. But this is my review on the election. It is a historic election, and I give it that. But are we looking at that historic election in a total wrong light? I do ask you, pray for your leaders. Pray for their safety. And you pray for their well-being. And you pray for their salvation. I would ask you to do the same thing if it was Clinton that was in there. But at the same time, he's just a man. And cursed be the man that puts his trust in man and makes his flesh his arm, and whose heart departeth from the Lord. And beware of the Hegelian dialectic that is right before your eyes. And you're missing it. You're missing it. Alternative media is on the rise and is risen. Mainstream media has taken a tumble. And now you're going to see a grudge match between these two medias. And there will arise a synthesis. How long will it be? Will it be 4 years, 8 years, 12, 20, 30, 40? I don't know. Who knows how long it'll be. But it will happen eventually. So, again, predictive programming is still real. The Hegelian Dialectic Principle is still real. The Jesuit Order is still real. And the Antichrist is still real. And they are still behind the scenes, controlling both sides of the spectrum, as both these kings' hearts are to do mischief, and they speak lies at one table. Don't be faint. Don't be drunken. Be vigilant. And be sober. Truth be told, truth be known, stay safe. God bless. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.